Welcome to our podcast from Panama City Beach, Florida.
The sunshine and sea air.
Took a hell of a lot of driving to get here.
It did. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, the first day being in the car for 12 plus hours, I thought they would drag on, but they really didn't.
It wasn't too bad, man. I don't know what it is. Like, the driver's seat's definitely more comfortable in the Nissan Altima that we got, but it wears into you more than the back seat does. Like, I can sit in the back seat for a longer period of time and not notice than the front seat when it starts pushing into like your leg in a weird position and you start playing with the lumbar support, trying to fix it. And
yeah, I did that a few times.
Yeah. I mean, thank God for power seats. I've never had a car with them, but it doesn't fix all your problems.
No. Although, nice car to go with. Good on the gas. I think we stopped,
3 Phillips?
3 times?
Yeah.
So that's really not that bad.
No. On the way back would probably be another 2 at least. Depends on what we do. We need to fill up from all the stuff we've been doing down here driving around.
We're still at half a tank, though.
Yeah, still at half a tank.
Pretty good.
The guy that we met up with, this older guy today, and he was in the same pool as we were. He was there with his wife, but he started talking about how he's been all over the place.
They've only been married for 14 years.
Only for 14 years.
That?
Yeah. And he looks like he's probably in his 70s or something.
Yeah, I know. I think you and I both looked at his wife when he said that.
Yeah. But he's been all over the place on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
Said he's driving like over 700 miles a day on a motorcycle.
And the worst thing is the wind, which would be.
I believe it, yeah. You don't want to do that in the wintertime if you're going to be traveling up to Canada like he said he was. That's my favorite thing. When people not from around where you are start telling you about the things that are right beyond your doorstep.
In your neighborhood. The Butterfly Conservatory.
Yeah, she asked us if we ever been there.
Have you been there for fun?
Yeah, well, I've been there with a school trip before, yeah. It's a nice place.
Very nice place.
I thought it was funny how they kept saying how much better the Canadian side of the falls is than theirs.
What is?
For all the things like Clifton Hill and everything, yeah. But the actual view of the falls isn't too bad from the States. I didn't mind it.
I like our view better.
I would agree, but really, why not? Why do one when you could just do both by crossing the border?
That's true.
It's like less than a day trip required. It's not too bad.
They, I don't know where, I wonder where the Mall of America is. That would have been something to check, but they liked
probably
our mall
in
too.
the middle of America where there's nothing better to do than go to a mall, I would imagine.
Americans are really stereotyped for liking their malls. That's a thing.
I can't really think of the names of any of their malls anymore. Maybe if I was like 5 years older than I was, and I don't know, it was just a different time when you would go hang with friends at the mall and stuff like that. I would go with my friends, but usually it would be like a parent would take us because it's not within walking distance, and it was a bit different thing where I grew up.
When I was growing up, there were people that I went to school with that hung out with or at the mall. And when you drive by the Tilsonburg Mall today, it's the same people hanging out in front of the mall. And they look like they should be hanging out in front of a mall. I did not necessarily graduate with the highest of classmates. Well, they were probably the highest of classmates, but not in the best way.
I don't know if there's a specific social strata that hangs out at the mall more than other people. Just clearly, it's people that are looking to be a bit more outgoing and to see people in this collective area that's an area for business and shopping and probably showing off the things that you purchased.
Though. I mean, it would depend on the person, but all the people that I went to school with that still hang out in front of the mall 10 years after we've been through high school, they're not showing off the latest things they bought.
No.
They're drinking coffee and watching people shop.
Yeah.
And not contributing to society.
You know, that is better than Innisfil loiterers, because what we do in Innisfil is you drive in there with your truck, pull down your tailgate, go in and get your Timmies, come out and sit on a lawn chair and probably smoke a joint or something, and
But that sounds nice.
Wow. It's very country Canada anyways. Because then there really is nothing better to do. There is no mall in Innisfil. Although there might as well be. I mean, they got a Starbucks now, so they're growing pretty quick.
That's moving on up.
Yeah. Back when I moved there was a Sobeys and a beer store and a couple others like video rental shops and a Tim Hortons. That was it. Now they got all sorts of grocery stores and Canadian Tire and Starbucks and everything you'd want for city people that are moving there.
Yeah, it's amazing. All it takes is 1 or 2 shops for people to be like, well, you know what? They have a Starbucks.
Yep.
Bet you they wouldn't mind this, that, and the other.
It makes the real estate prices skyrocket, which I don't even understand if city people would come to live where we are now. Because it was people, the big sells, okay, you're in the country, it's nice and you get all the benefits, but it's only, 40-minute drive to your job over in Toronto or Vaughan or wherever you work. But now, since I moved, you could go there probably for like $350,000, get a small subdivision home. Now, $800,000 is a lot of the homes out there.
And that's why they're all moving to Niagara. Yeah.
I don't know. I know that there's a lot of investors, real estate investors, that are buying places out in Niagara region, but I don't know if people are fleeing the GTA to commute from Niagara necessarily. Nobody's told me that yet, at least not any of the home buyers in the homes that I'm building.
I mean, the drive from St. Catharines to Toronto, I wouldn't want to do it every day.
No.
But it's not a bad drive if you have to. Niagara's nice.
Well, I feel like the upper limit for a lot of people might be like an hour commute. Niagara, you're pushing an hour, 20 minutes, hour and a half, depending on traffic, to get to downtown Toronto.
But that's why Grimsby's going up, because you're shaving off 20, 25 minutes.
I can see Grimsby.
And Grimsby's
you cut out
the condos.
Busy part of the highway by doing Grimsby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you still get a nice sized country lot.
Stony Creek.
Yeah.
Even. Still nice, and that's good because you have shaved off 30 minutes from your drive. And
if you like to gamble, you're not too far from the falls, so you can go play at the casino.
Well, that's true, but even like Niagara is a nice central place. For a lot of business, like it's nice only being an hour away from Toronto. It's nice being by the border. Still just being about 2 hours away from London, like it's a nice little central place for some people.
It's still tucked away in the side from a lot of the places. I feel like every time I want to go see my family, like if I got to drive up to Barrie or something,
well, that's a hike.
It's a long haul, but so is London, really.
Yeah,
still a long drive.
Well,
no, but I don't want to live in the middle of Ontario. Like, where are you gonna live? Like Milton or Guelph or
Guelph would kind of be the most central
Guelph's
place.
Yeah, I don't want to live in Guelph
because you'd be about an hour from London. You'd be just a little bit. You'd be around an hour and some to Toronto, if that.
I would argue that the roads are pretty much the most efficient in central and western Ontario, but I don't know. Something about living near water, because I'd go swimming in the Great Lakes. I don't mind. I wouldn't want to live somewhere that was so far away from any recognizable lake. Even Barrie, you got Lake Simcoe, which is a cesspool, but you can go swimming there and you go fishing there, whatever you want.
Talking about lakes, I would take this over any Great Lake.
Yeah, but you pick the ocean anywhere in Canada, you're not going to want to swim in it.
I know.
It's cold.
I know, but still.
We don't get any good ocean front, really. If you go to the West Coast, I'm sure there's some people braving it to go surfing or whatever, but damn, that's cold. Yeah.
You do what you gotta do to do what you want.
Canada has to buy some tropical island somewhere. The U.S. has islands, right?
Yeah, they do. And there was at one point, and again, no fact checking.
Okay.
But I know that there was at one point where Canada had expressed interest in doing so. And that would be amazing. Mm-hmm. Just to be able to go there, to live there.
Sure.
Because the whole hassle, years ago, if you wanted to be like an expatriate, you could just go. You just do it. And nowadays, even to like leave and go down to the banana republics and just live there, there's so much. If you're going to do it right, there's so much of a legal hassle to do so. And if you're not going to do it right, then you run into the issue of legal hassles if you need anything.
There's got to be some small island nation that's willing to sell their autonomy as a country and just, we buy them out. It doesn't matter how poor they are. They get into our system.
I think
they get into our healthcare. We will build up the infrastructure for tourism and heck, maybe to build some of their country while we're at it too, right?
I think Canada would do wonders with Cuba.
Cuba's not going to happen. I was thinking something a lot smaller than Cuba.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Cuba's a great island, really. I mean,
they've always loved Canadians. I think if you told...
They like people who bring money and are nice to them, I guess, so.
Mm-hmm. But if you told...
They'd probably like Americans just as much if they could come there, which now they can.
Yeah. But they've spent so long enjoying and trying to please Canadians like it was not the last time we went, but the time before that when I went, they tried so hard. They had a poutine bar, just because they knew they were catering to
Yeah.
Canadian.
That's cool.
And you know what? A little bit of a spicy Cuban gravy with their sad attempt at shredded cheese or cheese curds. It wasn't that bad.
If you help them with the cheese curds, I think they could pull off the spices to make something
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
unique. Yeah, be good.
Yeah, there are smaller islands out there that Canada could buy. I don't know how, aside from tourism, I don't know how economic buying an island is. Like Tila was saying on the way up that she'd like to buy a town, like to buy an economy.
I don't think it's an economic choice. I think it's more of Canadian tax dollars are going towards crazy things all the time. It wouldn't take that much to pull even Canadians if you had to opt in to say I want to help buy an island that's going to be Canadian like overruled or whatever. You'd be enough people to get in to do it. I think.
That's true.
Like really, you could probably convince a quarter of the country like, hey, put in $20. I don't know. Is there any countries that are willing to sell for a couple tens of $1 million?
Well, it would depend on the country, because it's not like you're. At least I hope it wouldn't be that. Oh, we own you now. Get the fuck out.
No.
I think. I mean, Canada has such a good reputation in the.
I'm thinking more like we're gonna rename your country to whatever we want, and
you don't even
your
have
citizens.
to rename it.
Okay, Republic of Canada.
Yeah,
So
because
whatever
all the
island.
natives are gonna call it this, what they grew up
Sure,
with,
that's
anyways.
fine.
But you go and you say we're going to bring this much to the economy. It's going to be run by Canadians. You can still have a form of government that, because it would be.
I think we need to have our currency there and
Well, you'd have our
simplify
currency.
everything. But then, well, what does their government do? Is it at that point? It's probably just
Well, it would be
like a municipal
Yeah.
sets of government.
It would depend on this. Again, it would depend on the size of the island.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the islands would probably be happy with being Canadian.
Yeah.
If you could be Canadian, but in the tropics, that would be nice, and then people would stop making fun of our igloos. Get a little southern cred.
You don't need a big island. That's for sure. I mean, I'd like to know how many Canadians go island hopping or whatever a year. Like, how many people do you have to? If every Canadian that wants to go on vacation to the tropics suddenly goes to this island, what kind of numbers would we be seeing? Really?
I don't know, but what benefit, aside from it being so much easier to go, would Canadians have on that island? If you
Import of our goods and services from across the
Yeah.
pond, and you could have your own airline specifically chartered from Canada to whatever republic.
Air
you have.
Canada would jump on that shit in a
Oh
second.
yeah, absolutely.
Banks, no, like there'd be no need for an exchange rate.
Yep.
So dollar for dollar, you'd get the same. I feel like if we were importing everything Canadian to the island, some goods would be more expensive.
Yeah. It's also, there is the economy side of it. So you're diversifying the goods that Canada can offer, because now you can appeal to tourists of other countries and you can make money off of that kind of tourism. Because we make money off of tourism in Canada, but it's not like the tropical island motif. It's a new way of doing things, isn't it?
It's true.
We have no experience with that,
you
really.
could bring the politeness of Canada to the banana republics.
Yeah.
What would we call it? What would be a good name for a Canadian island?
I want to say something with syrup in it, but you probably can't grow maple trees in certain areas.
No, but I'm sure, like, I don't know. I feel like you would have to stick with a more traditional name. You don't want to alienate the people that live there.
No.
And there's nothing wrong with. You don't want to do exactly what the States did. Now it's the U.S. Virgin Islands. Like, you just let them be, but give them, as the American at the pool said, give them pretty money and they'll be happy.
People always love Canadian money. It's so much more convenient for not handing the wrong bill to somebody.
is.
Because digging through my wallet trying to find the right denomination is a pain in the ass in America.
When in my money belt, the money closest to me is the higher bills, and the further away is the 10s and 5s. So that's kind of how I did it. But,
I mean, I do that even with our money back home. But you look in your wallet, you see the red color, and you grab it.
oh yeah, it's second. It's smart.
It's smart.
It makes sense.
If you're colorblind, I guess it doesn't help much.
No.
What a shame.
We were at McDonald's, and again those signs, and I think somebody mentioned it this trip too. But there's signs that say our menu is available in Braille, but the sign isn't in Braille.
No,
so you have to know that it's available in Braille in order to request it, which negates the need for a sign.
Maybe if you're with somebody and you want to be autonomous and read your own menu.
I guess that's true.
I don't know.
Braille would be hard to learn.
I don't know. I feel like the fingers are extremely sensitive. You could probably make certain details like that out.
Maybe.
Well, if you take the smallest grain of sand and you roll it under your finger, you're going to feel it, right?
Yep.
So it's just being able to differentiate the distances between certain objects.
That was something that my mom never learned.
No?
No.
Guess it's probably not that worthwhile when you have other ways of getting information to you.
Well, yeah.
You can't watch TV in Braille, so
No.
you don't need
You know,
to because you have
she
sound.
She never watched it with descriptive sound or anything, so
No.
it would just become
Guess what's going on.
badly explained audiobooks. She likes soap operas, though, and I think soap operas...
Because they tell more than they
yeah,
do.
you can kind of tell more than you do. You kind of get the idea around it. She also really likes CSI, which would... It would be...
Yeah, they talk a lot in that, too. I mean, there might be some scuffle or something that goes on, but it's not overly visual.
No. Well, it is. The visuals on shows like that are important.
But the main key of a show like CSI is they're trying to solve this mystery, and you're always thinking like, what could it be? Is it this guy who did it, or is it this specific thing that he used, or whatever? Which your mind can wander just as much without any of the visual cues in the show. I don't think the visual cues are critically important for a lot of them, and even if they were for the specific case, the joy is still not knowing what's going on until the end and getting the twist.
And then 2.5 Men, she likes sitcoms too, which again, when you look at it, as long as you imagine it, I mean, it's like stand-up comedy, but you can kind of get the basic idea. So yeah, stuff like that. That was always neat. And then my brother, blind mom, brother with hearing aids, so she'd be listening very intensely to the audio, and then we'd have closed captioning for my brother. So it was just... I'm right at home when closed captioning is on TV or movies because I grew up with it.
Tia doesn't let me leave the monitor on. She gets distracted.
Because sometimes it's just, for me, I grew up with it, so it's easier to read the dialogue too.
I can take it or leave it with TV and movies. I love it in video games. Just because there's always something that's like quieter in the background, or stuff's happening so quickly you might not get the chance to hear exactly what they're saying, but the text always matters. And in games like Grand Theft Auto, it's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, I think I did the entire Grand Theft Auto 5 with subtitles.
Mm-hmm. The other game, Bethesda's pretty good with it too, where you can select it for just specific dialogue, or you can select it for all the in-game conversations. But it's nice to have. Have you kept up with any of the VR games that are coming out? I'm thinking Bethesda now, but because they've had VR Skyrim and they have VR Fallout 4. God, we're so close to being able to just disappear into. I think you were talking about VR Sims or something like that,
which is such a stupid idea.
It is.
They still keep talking.
They'll
about
do it and they'll sell it.
Tila did mention VR Sims when you're playing with other people, so you can kind of run your own virtual house, but just fucking move in with them. I mean, if that's what you want to do, just pull the plug.
What if you're across the world?
That's true.
Yeah.
But then you're gonna have this this situation where you build yourself, your spouse, who it's a long distance relationship, they build them, and then you just live in this virtual house. Like, we're so, like you said, we're so close to just being able to put something on and disappear, like the Ready Player One, the Spielberg movie that just came out, which I want to see.
I'm all for that if it's a way to Well, it'd be cool if it enhances your life, but more than that, I'm thinking like an extension of life where you could just sit in the pod, sort of immobile and preserved, and you could just keep living a life in a different way for a lot longer than human lifespan currently is.
That'd be neat.
Because I feel like that's easier than extending the lifespan directly. Like there's got to be a stasis mode you can get your body into where it's not really expending energy. You're not likely to have some kind of medical condition arise. That's like still related to like the Fallout games. In the third game, there's a thing called a GEC, a Garden of Eden creation kit. But basically, it's just a bunch of pods that you get suspended in, and they hook up and project whatever image of paradise into your head, kind of thing. And you could live there almost indefinitely.
Oh, so like this. This would be.
It's not bad.
This would be mine. Maybe a little bit further south, but
Yeah, it's hot, but it's not sweltering like Cuba was last year.
I mean, I like this. This is a good temperature. We're able to go swimming. This is the most approachable temperature that we had. The first day it was cool, then it was hot. This is just a nice warm day.
Yeah.
Where you can go into the water. It was pretty calm.
I like the sweltering heat though. Like if it's making me need to be in the water, that's when I like to swim the most. I could spend all day in the ocean at that point. Like, And I think the Keys would have been very different too. Like for us to go to the Keys, that's still like we got to get in the car and drive like 11 hours just to get down. It would
have been a long drive.
Yeah.
One day I will get to Key West, and I was going to mention this. We kind of mentioned it, and then I Googled it because I kept hearing it in books that I've been reading. And there is debate about it, but the whole idea that you can see Cuba from Key West is more or less a sailor's myth.
Yeah.
A lot of sailors say that on the best of conditions you can see it. And I was checking an article that I was reading, and even some of the sources are from books that I've read. So I can see why I thought, I guess it is kind of a romantic idea to be able to
see another country.
To see another country, or to see a country like that.
That's so divided from the States, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very different.
But years ago it wasn't. Key West at one point was a treasure trove of like Cuban
refugees and
just Cuban culture. And then once it was no longer possible for Cubans to come around, the Key West just kind of continued with their legacy.
It kind of surprised me when you said that you could possibly see it from there, just because I mean I've been to Key West, but I never thought I was pretty young, so maybe I didn't look across the water to see if there was anything going on. Is there something up with the GoPro?
Yeah.
What?
It's dead. And we're back.
Had a little bit of a technical issue, but now Jesse's cam is actually going to be quite higher in quality than it was before. Because it went from a knockoff GoPro to a EOS 7D with a 24-70 on it. Maybe a little bit of lens. No lens flare. The sun's too much behind it.
105.
105?
24 to 105.
Oh, yeah. I guess I forgot about that. Nikon does not have a good 20. They don't really have a 24 to 105. Well, I think this one's a variable aperture, but Sigma's the only competition for Canon's 24 to 105 L lens.
I like it. I like mine.
Yeah. No, it's probably the best all-around lens you can get for just general photography, general videography. The continuous aperture, I mean, being the main selling point for videography and the decent zoom range. There's sharper things, but it's pretty tack sharp for most of what you want to do. The only time I've ever really used it professionally is when I had your 5D Mark II and I did the one wedding, which I was really happy with the results. If I had to get any Canon camera just and drop Nikon, I think it'd have to be one of the 5D series, but 5D Mark II is plenty good.
5D Mark II, as we've said before, just revolutionary on the video side at the very least, which it's such a funny story that they didn't even bet on the video being a selling feature.
There was probably a lot more of a divide. People just had TV cameras and they would have just different ways of shooting video, I guess, at the time. a lot of cheap cameras were just fine at video too. They just didn't have a manual mode for the most part. It would usually just be automatic video, which you can do quite a bit with.
Depending on what you were using it for, it was fine. I dread the day. I have nightmares of going back to automatic video on the T3 with the very weird 25 frames per second rule, which we've talked about.
Yeah, that'd be no good at all.
It wasn't.
I
Not
think
full HD.
Camcorders at the time were definitely better for that kind of stuff. Because you get a 1080p camcorder with a nice flip-out little screen, 30 FPS, and a nice codec for video that's not too compressed. It's good stuff.
Oh, it was. And it is. It's fun. I like doing what we do. We get to dick around with a lot of different stuff, and
I really want to know how people get such good underwater shots with their GoPros, just because
I was thinking about that.
it's so silty here on the bottom. Like, I haven't been able to swim out more than 100 feet. In Cuba, for whatever reason, I just stuck to it and I went out until I saw something interesting on the bottom. It was still pretty silty. Here, I just can't see anything, so I just get frustrated and turn back after a while, because you can't see the bottom, but you know it's just sand still. There's nothing interesting to look at, really. If I go almost to the big dock that they have, the big pier, looking down from that, you can see so many fish and so many things going on, but you can't swim near it.
They don't let you?
I think I saw something posted. At least you're not allowed to surf near it or anything.
Might have to go to a public access part of the beach and
Swim over?
Swim over.
I don't know what they do. I feel like there's a rule against it.
Maybe they'll shoot you.
Maybe. Stay away from the dock. Bang.
It'll attract unwanted fish.
I would love to see sharks.
I'd kill to see a shark.
Mm-hmm. The guy that we're talking about earlier, the older guy, said that people would catch sharks off of that.
10-foot hammerhead.
10-foot. Wow, that's a 1 in a million kind of
Well,
sighting.
he himself said it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Even like a good 4-foot shark, that'd be something to see.
that would be.
The dolphins were kind of interesting the other day too. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple of them that pop up now and again. Because some kid on the beach just ran up to Teal and I and pointed them out because we look like professional photographers or something with our cameras.
Little ego boost.
Yeah. He got a bit annoyed too because I told the kid, I'm like, oh, like that's so cool. I'm like, I don't think my camera can shoot like pictures that far. And he's like, oh, I was just trying to tell you to be nice or whatever. And I was just like, I wasn't trying to be rude at all. I don't know.
I'm just telling you the honest truth.
Yeah. Thinking that I could zoom all the way in on a dolphin that's probably like 400 meters away. It was far. You could see him popping out of the water.
Well, that's because people are used to their 200 times digital zoom with their cameras.
I was just in the middle of watching Casey Neistat video where he's going to compare like a $35 zoom that you put on your iPhone to a proper DSLR zoom or something, and I didn't get into it, but the ad for it is so unbelievable. Like, it just has somebody sitting there with their camera on the tripod and all this the gear set up, and then they rack the zoom on this little zoom lens for their iPhone, and they zoom in on the moon, and they get so tight that you literally crops in tight enough that you can't see the full moon. It's just like the edge of it. You get to see all the craters and everything. It's got to be a nonsense.
I don't know. You'd think at some point somebody will crack the. Like, I mean, that's kind of the best we have. We don't have, interchangeable lenses for cameras or for cell phones yet.
Red's
yeah,
got
but that's not out yet.
It's not.
That would be the first major one. So they have to do the add-ons.
It doesn't quite make sense. Well, I guess the sensors are small, but here's the thing. As soon as you do that and you start being more photo-oriented, people are going to say, well, why don't you give us a bigger sensor? And they're going to keep asking for more and more on that front. And by the time you get to like a 1-inch sensor like a Sony RX camera has or whatever, you need a flange focal distance that's big enough that your phone's going to have a huge bump in the back of it now. And it's just going to you're going to have a camera. You're going to have a point-and-shoot camera with interchangeable lenses. You can't win.
No.
Like the zoom of a camera on a phone, well, usually it's like a 3mm lens or something like that, or some of them, I don't know. I guess some of them will be variable, but that's just a digital zoom. But yeah, like a 3 millimeter lens. It's incredibly wide angle, really, but that's just because it's such a small sensor. I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in, I mean, as with any type of technology, in upcoming years, as far as what the next jump in kind of consumer phones will be. Like Apple seems to be betting on kind of like augmented reality and whatnot, which is an interesting thing.
Yeah, I guess even Microsoft was kind of betting on that too for a while.
Well, they built an entire operating system around their goggles.
Yeah.
Which is a neat idea. But even some people, like the idea to say, hey, I want to put my TV or my YouTube tab on the wall right there, and the computer will remember, because it has scanned your living space, that is where your TV is. That's neat. And to me, that's more interesting right now than virtual reality. Like just being able to enhance your life to the point where you can, and now you have a 70-inch YouTube video that you can watch. But
no, I can see that being a lot more user-friendly. It's a thing that instead of sectioning yourself off from the world, you can just integrate into the world as you normally perceive it. Having a holodeck, though, like a proper VR experience, would be amazing.
Well, there's a new virtual reality place in St. Catharines, and that's all they do. They offer the high-end virtual reality experiences. It's like a not a virtual reality escape room, but that's what I would kind of tout it as. You pay to go in the room, and it's all set up, because even to get an Oculus Rift or something like that, if you want the full experience, you need quite a bit of space.
Yeah, wow. I see lots of people with their HTC Vives, and you can get away with maybe like 7 square feet around you. It's not the worst.
But no, as long as the price point is right, I'd be willing to check out the virtual reality space in St. Catharines.
Whereabouts is it?
I think it's on Scott Street.
Okay. Not too far from where you are.
No. It all comes down to price, because I haven't really dipped my toes into anything majorly virtual reality outside of the cheap VR glasses that you can get at Walmart and whatnot.
I want to get a pair of the Google Cardboard, just because I never really demoed it at all. But I think I'd probably get a little bit of amusement out of it.
Even the cheap ones where you use your phone, like every YouTube app, at least on recent phones, is ready for VR, as long as the video is VR implemented. And
what would you do with that though? Like I know I can watch 360 YouTube videos.
That's basically it.
That's it?
Yeah.
And it's not that compelling then.
No, it's not. But I mean, some of the ones that I've seen are neat. You do the stereotypical roller coaster, and in the right position.
Is there something more interactive, like a game though, that I could play? And how would I interact? Like, how would I control it?
I don't know. I know there's cheaper, and by cheaper I mean like in the $100 or $150 price range, where you do get the goggles and you get a smaller controller. So I'm not exactly sure what type of games you would get, but at least they're trying to bring it to the mass consumer, because it was something that people were excited about, and now, not that it's not exciting, but I can't think of the latest new game that has been released as a completely VR experience.
There's a community for it. I watched this one guy, and he showed. Oh, there's quite a few fighting games and like some zombie killing games.
Stuff like that, or horror themed games.
They're all like really small developers for the most part, which is why I brought up the ones from Bethesda, just because there's a VR version of the same thing that's already been out, but man, it looks like a different experience.
Well, I think the natural progression would be something like the next Grand Theft Auto. Because when they did GTA 5 for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, it was third person, and then when the Xbox One and PS4 came out, they remastered it in first person, and they had to redo basically the entire game so that way all the textures were proper for first person.
Mm-hmm.
And now that it's first person, it's like, well, you're kind of at the point where you could push it and
Yeah, it's
make
kind of
it a virtual reality experience.
The next leap. It would be pretty immersive, I would say.
Yeah.
Just call it Murder Simulator or something.
You need a 3D treadmill. I know that, like,
Yeah.
just so that way you could run around. You'd get a lot of exercise running around Liberty City.
People have come up with creative solutions. I mean, there's the mats where you just sort of slip in place, and there's a thing that holds you around the waist, and people say it works, but at what point does it become so tiring that you don't bother anymore, and you say, well, I'm going to pull up the controller, and I'll
Well,
just...
exactly. It's that Wii situation where, you know what? You can actually bowl, or you can sit on your couch and go,
Yeah. Half-ass it.
yeah. No, that it'd be interesting to see what happens there, just because I think video gaming in general needs something.
I mean, of course, we're not kids anymore. We're not the target audience for a lot of these games, so maybe kids are perfectly happy with what they've got now.
Yeah, I'm the target audience for some games. Far Cry 5.
That looks so cool.
Oh, it
I
does.
saw somebody pitch it as like, this is the best game if you want to, for like a hunting game. This is the best hunting game.
Well,
you
that's
can have.
I've read articles too where people are like, yeah, you know what? I started playing a mission, got sidetracked. 5 hours later, I'm still hunting. I'm like, that sounds
the
fun.
multiplayer aspects of it look hilarious.
The level building, like you can build an entire and just share it. The only thing with me is I'm waiting because this year and eventually next year and whatnot will be my year that I have to friggin' upgrade systems if I want to, because I've got Far Cry 5.
Yeah.
And I love the Far Cry. I'm one of the people that joined in at Far Cry 3, even though there's 1 and 2 beforehand. But
Oh, really?
Far Cry 3 was great. Far Cry 4 was good. Far Cry 5 looks awesome. Eventually, there's going to be a Grand Theft Auto 6. But I don't know as to what capacity Grand Theft Auto 6 will be, because Rockstar has made so much money off of their online side of things that a lot of people are saying that Grand Theft Auto 6 might not even have a single player story, which is ridiculous.
It's strange for Grand Theft Auto, but they got to recruit more people from like the modding community, because there's so many people with cool ideas and things like that. And the story arc of the, like, I didn't really play 5. I never had it, but I love the story arc of Grand Theft Auto 4.
Yeah, we talked
And
about
it was revolutionary for its time, I think.
Grand Theft Auto. It'd be nice to have one where you could make more decisions. Grand Theft Auto 5, you had to complete a certain amount of missions per person of the 3 main characters, and then at the end, you got to choose if one of the 3 characters died, if another one of the 3 characters died, or if they all lived. I liked playing as all of them because all of them are a little bit different.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling kind of like a mafia guy, I'll play as the Italian. If I'm feeling crazy, I'll play as Trevor and whatnot. But no, you let them all live, but then you think you could have a game where you do 100% change the story. Like, what was it? Was it Mass Effect that we were talking about? Where by the third one, if you were making choices all the way through, the game's entirely different. We were talking about that a few weeks ago.
We were.
That is interesting. So stuff like that, I think, could work very well into games like that. But then I have also when I was younger, I used to play a game called Jurassic Park Operation Genesis. And it was like Zoo Tycoon, but you got to run a
Dinosaurs.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And a spiritual successor, Jurassic World Evolution, which looks like a Zoo Tycoon, but you get to run a Jurassic World. It's coming out this summer.
Oh, that'll be cool.
And they're saying, minus the fact they don't have feathers, if you want to see a game that has real dinosaurs, this they spend a lot of time.
Why aren't people bridging that gap? Like, nobody's putting feathers on dinosaurs.
The mentality, I can't speak for any other licensed dinosaur experience, but the science in the Jurassic World universe or Jurassic Park universe, they simply say when we created the world, we thought that dinosaurs didn't have feathers. Now we know that they most likely did, but in the world that we have created, we were supposed to have made real dinosaurs back in 1992. And then at some point the story switched where, because they were still not quite getting 100% dinosaur DNA, and they were filling in the gaps of the DNA with other
Frogs.
amphibians,
Yeah.
that's why the feathers weren't around. And then in the fourth movie, the geneticist says, you know what, you didn't ask for dinosaurs, you asked for monsters. Nothing in Jurassic Park is natural.
It's kind of a unique way to explain it.
And I get it. You build an entire franchise around the look of, say, a Tyrannosaurus, and then you'd be hesitant to change the way it looks, especially since in the new movies the dinosaurs, at least the T-Rex and whatnot, is the T-Rex from the previous movies. So you can't. I guess you could give them feathers, but I don't know. They tried to give the raptors feathers in the third one just by adding a little feathery frill on the top of their head.
Mm-hmm. The raptors were they're still my favorite from the Jurassic
Raptors
Park
are so
series.
friggin' cool,
Yeah.
even though that they're not. They are biologically the most misrepresented dinosaur in the series.
Yeah.
At least they're based on some truth. It's a Utah raptor, not a velociraptor, but those would be cool. I think I was watching a Vice documentary on trying to bring back the mammoth, and that's neat.
It's been a hot topic for a long
Well, I
time.
know it has, but I didn't realize, like, it opens in Japan and they're showing how now, and I know you've been able to do this for a while, but now you're able to pay like $100,000 to have your pet dog cloned, and you'll get your puppy again. So they do have like designer cloning now that is, again, for
Now-
$100,000 commercially available.
Now, this type of cloning, I don't know, is it the same type of cloning that you did back in the day, I guess, with like Dolly the sheep, where you run into the issue essentially where you could clone the animal, but there's issues with telomere caps and certain things that limit the reproducibility of the animal. So essentially, it has a very short lifespan.
That I don't know. They didn't get into it in the documentary. I would hope that they have figured out a way around that. I mean, dogs.
I feel like they'd be short anyways. Yeah, but I feel like it'd be. So what do they have? They keep their dog and they have a puppy of it at the same time. Like, what's the point?
Well, that's the other thing. It'd be a weird situation where if the dog isn't that old, you'd end up with a dog raising itself as a puppy.
Yeah, and you know what? Their lifespan will be about the same, just because of the same issue.
That'd be
Telomere cap. So, let's say your dog's 5 years old, its average lifespan is 10 years. You clone it at 5 years old. By the time that dog's 10 and dying, the other one's probably going to be dying at 5 years old now, due to the limitations of telomere caps and the reproducibility of cells, because the cells will senesce much quicker than they otherwise would. I don't see any way of getting around that. Like, that's the kind of thing where it's almost immortality at that point. It's one of the reasons that we don't do much cloning experiments, just because it's ineffectual the way that we could do it now.
Well, they were talking about how now it's to the point where all the politicians are saying that they won't ever utilize it in human use.
But it's not even that weird if you think of it. Like, if you could get around that senescence issue, it's like having a twin.
Oh yeah,
That's about it. It's arbitrary. It hinges upon the idea that humans have souls and there's a unique you out there, but it's just a genetic code brought up in a specific environment. At the end of the day, it'd be no different than having a child.
the Vice documentary said that, like, at some point the ultimate goal for humanity would be to grow a a younger version of you, and then you just transplant your brain.
That would be
into-
good. I'd be up for that. What about the younger version of me, though? Guess he's kind of fucked, right?
Well, you breed them specifically for that.
Well, that's like the island or whatever, the lottery system thing, or the
Like if you were 70, and they said, okay, we're going to start the process. He's gonna grow, and by the time you're 85, we're gonna have a 15-year-old version of you.
yeah.
I wonder if a 15-year-old would see it as a greater good, be like, hey, listen,
No.
I've lived
Fuck
your
no.
life. Now I want you to die, so my brain can go into you, and together we can live life again.
Yeah, that's a really gruesome way of solving a problem.
I don't know. The other thing you do is you breed them. You breed them we're talking about humans, but you breed them in hopes that they are medically, I don't know, in a coma for 15 years, and then once you're ready to go, you go. It'd be really weird to be 85 and then to go back into a body of a 15-year-old.
That'd be fantastic. Now, there's issues, of course, of brain degradation that you still have to worry about. So, because inevitably, if anybody could live long enough, they would eventually have some kind of neurological degeneration of some kind. So it's kind of, you have to solve those problems too. Which, if you could solve those problems, you could probably solve other aging issues in the body.
Yeah.
There's some way we're going to figure out how to do it first, and that's probably just going to be the way we're going to stick with for a long time before inventing a new way of trying to live forever.
Well, the Vice documentary talking about the mammoths said that one of the major reasons for mammoth cloning, or the major interest in mammoth cloning, is because the use of elephant tusks for ivory is now like gargantuan in the illegal space, so they are now digging up mammoth tusk.
I feel like that would be worth a lot of money.
They sell them for a pretty penny.
Yeah.
But all these hunters are giving up good mammoth bodies to science because they are totally gung-ho to bring back the mammoth. So it's a very kind of sad way of thinking, like you want to bring back this animal just so you can have its tusks. But
I don't know why we haven't come up with an artificial way of making ivory yet.
I don't know either.
I don't know what the composition is. You think, just like hair and nails, it's some kind of keratin or some kind of protein in ivory. I feel like you could some kind of polymer chain reaction. You could probably make something similar.
Would artificially created ivory get as much of a...
People still buy artificially created diamonds like idiots, so...
That's true.
Yeah. I don't like the diamond industry, but...
Well, the diamond industry is horrible.
Yeah.
Even they say that the diamond industry is taking a hit from the millennial generation because they will not buy into you have to save up 6 months of your salary to buy a diamond ring, which we know is bullshit. It's just a marketing campaign.
Sure, and plus millennials probably don't have that much money to begin with.
Well, exactly. But it's one of those things that they are nice to have, but they are just so the cost of getting a good brand new diamond is so expensive when it really shouldn't be.
Well, that's the thing. There's several issues with this. One, there's the ethical issues like blood diamonds stuff that's always been there. But two, it's such an artificially inflated industry to begin with because you could just mine diamonds and create tools out of diamonds or whatever you want to just keep driving up the price, make it ridiculous, and really there's no point at the end of the day of spending so much money on a diamond. I don't know. It seems ridiculous to me.
Would you, or when you do what you're gonna do with Tila, are you gonna buy brand new? Have you
a diamond?
Are you gonna?
I don't know. I have no idea. Honestly, I feel like a lot of women are in the state of mind if you know them well enough, that you could probably do something else. Like a woman might want to say, I want to get married. Let's go on vacation for a month somewhere or something, rather than buying a ring. But then again, you might want some kind of object to at least show off and talk about stuff. So I can understand that side of it, but does it have to be a diamond? I don't know.
The diamond industry, when you look at it, the horrible thing, and it's great as well, is how much a brand new diamond costs versus buying secondhand. You can probably get a beautiful, like $10,000, just unbelievably beautiful secondhand diamond for a quarter or less of the price, because
Yep.
there's no value in secondhand.
No.
And if the goal of proposing with a diamond ring is that the woman has it for her life, she shouldn't be worrying about the resale value. The resale value, anyways, with a new diamond, just won't be there.
Yeah.
So why buy brand new? When
No,
you can
I agree.
get
Now, where do you go use diamond shopping other than like local classifieds or something?
well, there was at one point a used jewelry store in St. Catharines.
But then there's markup. So what do you do about that? I guess it might still be cheaper, but
well, I'm sure it's
if you're
still
gonna cut out the middleman and just buy it from people who have owned it, save the money.
There is that diamond website with the amazing commercials that we watched, where they were going diamond shopping, and then the woman pops up and was like, "You don't need to do that. You can buy them online." Which even then, there would have to be a certain amount of markup, but I think, I don't know. I can be 100% honest. The only time I ever seriously looked, I shouldn't have ever really been looking, because it was with Jessica, and yeah, I wake up every morning and thank God
You didn't spend that
that
money
I
on the ring.
didn't ask that question,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because that would have been horrible.
Life's too short to get into a legally binding contract with the wrong person.
Oh yeah, it's insane. Like we've touched on it occasionally, but it is absolutely crazy how short life is, and how how quick it goes. And then there's moments like this where you get to kind of kick back and do some thinking. Over the past week, I've thought about a lot of things.
Like
And,
what?
I wish, like, part of me still really, really, really would like to just say fuck it and
Live down here?
friggin' buy a resort. Like, I've been on those websites before, and yes, it's a lot of money.
What kind of numbers are we talking?
You can buy a small, like, it all depends on how much money you want to make or what type of resort you want to maintain. If you want a small, like, 10-person, even running a hotel like the one that we're in on that side.
Probably like 300 occupants, 200 occupants, something like that.
Yeah. And then in Dominican, you're looking anywhere from yes, it's in American dollars, but 700,000 to $1 million for a small.
That's like a mortgage on a really nice house.
Yeah, but it's not impossible.
No, and not even from a business perspective, especially not if you have multiple people going in on that.
There's a book, and I've read it many times. It's called Don't Stop the Carnival. It's by a semi-popular writer called Herman Walk, and the book is about a guy named Norman Paperman, who was a Broadway socialite. And one day he has a heart attack, faces a midlife crisis, decides he's going to go down to the Banana Republic and buy a resort. So he goes down to the fake tropical island of Kingja,
which, I mean, the mythos behind the island make it seem like it's fairly real. And the book is his misadventures in owning this resort. Like he meets up with somebody named Hippolyte, who is a really good handyman, but if you piss him off, he'll kill you. And he pisses him off. His money man fires Hippolyte for not doing something right, so the money man ends up getting a mark on his head for Hippolyte to be coming with his machete. So it's very much a I wouldn't say slapstick, but it is very funny. But it deals with a lot of things that I feel like when it was written, he would have to deal with more. But they have a water well that ruptures, and whatnot. And
I don't know if the logistics would be the hardest part these days, because the technology you would have to make an island self-sustaining.
oh yeah,
is much better.
It's just every time, and I feel like I'm not special in that way, but every time I go down south, it feels like, I mean, maybe my problem is I should stop reading or listening to Jimmy Buffett. Then might just, the mentality might disappear. But
He's a marketing man. Maybe he's just marketing the dream to be more than what it actually is. But I don't know. The biggest question
I follow the owner of this hotel on Instagram.
Yeah?
I looked her up.
Yeah?
And I don't think he's he is improperly selling that dream.
Yeah. Well, if you can turn it into even just a sustainable business, not something that's crazy profitable, you already live in the lifestyle because you're where you want to be, with the people you want to be with. It's kind of all you need, really. Just getting by running your own resort is better than making the American dream on the mainland, I think.
Oh, Jesus, it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, there would be issues. I'm sure hurricane season isn't pretty.
But you could definitely structure buildings and things like that to be much more hurricane proof than
Most
otherwise.
of the old school buildings, like the ones in Cuba, they are meant to withstand hurricanes because that's part of their job.
Their stuff's pretty tough. I mean, there's a lot of poorer countries that just get decimated when there's a hurricane, but that's because of the structures of the buildings and the way that things are laid out. Things aren't going to drain properly. There's lots of issues there. If you pick the right island, you have high ground and you structure all your buildings to withstand the types of hurricanes that you get, and even a step above that, you could make a place that's going to be fine regardless of the whatever the season throws at it.
But like I like the idea of something more structured than this hotel, more like a resort. So you have a bar that's actually operating, and you get a fun little bartender who knows how to actually make drinks and speak proper English.
Well, but you might have tourists from other places. You're going to need multiple
You'll need
languages.
bilingual, but
Yeah,
I mean,
English, Spanish, French at least.
But if you market, it would be a good marketing campaign to be like, you know what, this is the resort for Canadians.
Yeah, we could be that resort.
Yeah. So no, every so often I think about it, and it doesn't help that right now one of the books I'm writing, the main character is knee deep mixed up with a Jamaican mob, and he has a hotel down there that is used as a money laundering front. Very, very different from the family-friendly Christmas story that I'm writing.
Yeah.
But no, it just it seems like something that's always been on my mind, and if I don't do it now, I will end up facing a heart attack in 10 years, and then I'll end up in the midlife crisis, and then that's what I'll do. My kids will be like, "Oh my God, Dad's lost it." I'll be like, "Nope, never had it." So,
Yeah. If it's the dream that you want to make, I mean, it would make sense just to figure out what it takes to get started in a business like that. And
really what I should do, if I'm 100% serious about it, is I should find a resort that I could work at for a while.
learn all the tips, all the tricks.
Like dip my toes into the actual...
That's a problem that in Canada. We don't really have something that's similar.
Well, I know. I'd have to go on a work term.
Yeah.
I feel like working on a tropical island would be easier than getting a work visa for the States.
I don't know. Not in Cuba.
Not in Cuba.
But maybe somewhere. Maybe the Dominican.
I'm thinking Jamaica or something like that.
Yeah.
That being said, most of the resorts there would be American-owned
Yeah.
at this point. But no, I don't know. Yeah, I can guarantee that for the next 3 weeks after we return, I'm going to be Googling it a lot more like I did last year.
Yeah.
And then the dream fades away for a bit.
Just go on vacation every year, and then you get the hype for it.
Well, that's just it. You wonder if it is just a pipe dream, sitting, thinking, I could do this. But then you do follow the owner. Like, I'm following the owner of the hotel, but it's not like it's a hotel's Instagram. It's her private Instagram. I just deduced from searching Palmetto Inn and Suites and then realizing that she is like the second generation of this family-owned hotel because she's made posts about that. I'm like, okay, so she's an owner. And she'll post things from the hotel. She'll post things around. She's got 2 kids. I think it's a little weird that I know that, but
If she posts it publicly, then
well, I know.
it's not unreasonable.
She makes it seem like it's a worthwhile experience. You notice actually on the front door, it says no pets allowed in the hotel, but underneath it says except for the owner's little dog.
That's
So
funny.
There is a family aspect to this hotel.
I wonder what suite the owner has. Is it the one in the top in the middle?
I can't tell by her Instagram if she lives here.
Well, you think she'd have a room on access?
You would think so, but you would also think that if that top one, and I realize nobody can see this, I might be able to.
That's the penthouse. That
If
thing's
that's the penthouse, she doesn't live there because she's selling that
Yeah,
for
no,
$3,000
oh,
a
yeah.
week.
I almost wanted to zoom right in on that with the camera, but it'll ruin the shot. It's funny because you could see, just from where we're looking at, you could see the middle of the hotel. There's the biggest rooms, and there's, for perspective, every other room only has one. It has a window and a door to get to the balcony. These ones have, 3 windows and a big sliding glass door.
I wonder if I can Google.
But the penthouse has double that, so it's a gigantic window. 2 windows on the side of that, another 2 windows further back of the balcony, and 2 doors to access the balcony. It is massive.
Inn and Suites.
You're gonna look up the penthouse for this?
Yeah, just
unit?
see if it fits.
I bet the square footage on that's like probably 2,000 if it goes all the way to the hallway. That's huge. Maybe, well, it is a single floor, so maybe less, but it'd be cool if they had a little something on the roof, like a little balcony up there, like a flat top roof.
Yeah.
Some of the hotels have flat roofs, because down here you don't need a
Definitely be
slope for snow or something, anyways.
We'll be long gone by the time this ever airs. It'll definitely be interesting trying to get to that pool this evening.
Yeah. Gotta try to sneak into the neighbor's pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For rates and availability, please click on book now. Well, I'm already here. I don't want to book. No pets.
It's
no
the
exception.
website specifically for the Palm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. We want beachside.
Yeah, I want beachside. Well, that's where we are, right?
Yep.
I'd-
Standard queen efficiency with full kitchen.
Queen efficiency.
Deluxe queen suite.
Yeah.
Regular queen suite.
So-
Standard king or king efficiency.
I think there's efficiency is probably without a kitchen.
No, with full kitchen.
Okay.
View floor plan.
Yeah.
No, that is definitely not.
It's
Maybe that is
something
theirs.
special
Because,
because it's not available.
well,
There's nothing like I don't know, luxury king experience.
this floor plan, you know what? Let's try something different. This floor plan of the one-room king efficiency, which we will show on the screen now.
Thanks for editing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you can see, it might actually work out to be like the
width.
ones that aren't centered.
The width. Well, where's the balcony though?
The balcony is up there. So it's any one of the ones on the left or right-hand side.
Okay.
Because of the way the balcony goes.
Sure.
But you would think, unless the standard king, no, standard king is just smaller. But the queen suite, you're calling it a suite.
Right.
Why is it a suite? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you see?
Switching it now. Those are the half
Oh,
ones,
wow.
right?
That's
so
big.
All those are the queen suites. It's like
That's
we're planning a heist or something.
2 beds, 2 TVs,
Yeah.
a kitchen with a nice table in it, a big living room area.
So I wonder if the
Wow.
regular queen suite. Nope. You know what? It might be theirs.
Yeah, because it's not listed on the website.
But that seems, I don't know.
Weird.
Living in a hotel would be weird.
It's not like a permanent residence. I wouldn't imagine. You know, we'll do research on that one later because I am curious.
Yeah.
I think it's probably time for us to go try to break into the neighboring hotel's pool and go for a swim there.
That is true.
Sun's going down. It's kind of the picture perfect time to do that.
All non-family guests must be 25 years or older to check in.
Ooh. I think I want to film an outro this week. I think I want to run along the beach with my GoPro.
I think that's a good idea. You can do that.
Yeah.
And I'll just stand here and,
Possibly talk us out.
yeah, talk us out.
Okay, I am off.
Okay. Well, this has been a absolutely amazing experience to be able to broadcast in the crummy hotel room in Nashville, but also to be able to broadcast in this absolutely amazing view of Panama City Beach, Florida. Panama City Beach, I would recommend it entirely. It is really funny what type of amenities that they don't consider to be mandatory. They don't give us shampoo, which is different. They didn't give us soap to start. They give us dishes, but no dish soap, even though we didn't ask for a room with a kitchen. But yeah, beautiful place. I think I will be back. I don't think that it's going to make it into my song lines or book lines like any of the Caribbean places have, but it is definitely a great place to stay. So have a good one, everybody. I'm Jesse, signing off.
And Eric signing off too.
Have a good one, everybody. See you next week in the dull, boring Niagara Falls.
Not that bad.
No, it's fine.
Bye.
Bye-bye.